Good afternoon and welcome to Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn. I am Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck and I'm excited to introduce my guest, Mr. Tony Lepre, who is owner of Lepre Energy Group. Tony and I know each other from the Union League in Philadelphia, but we don't know each other well, so I'm excited to get to learn more about you. So, how did you get to be the owner of this company?
About 11 years ago, I came out of the construction business, and there was an opportunity afforded to me. Energy was a big thing at the time. So particularly in the state of New Jersey, renewable energy projects, specifically solar, was a big deal. So a friend of mine and myself, we collaborated, got together, and started to develop some fairly decent-sized solar energy projects in the state of New Jersey, and that was the impetus for me to transition from more traditional type construction into energy-related construction.
That's so interesting, especially solar energy, how important that is today. So I love the fact that you're involved with that.
It is. I can tell you back in 2008-ish, a lot of what I do is driven by the financial part of the projects. So the money side of the projects was very, very lucrative back in 2008 and 9. And then as we got into 10, 11, and 12, the certain parts of that, not to get too deep into the weeds, but certain parts of the financial package started to peel off a little bit. So that directly affected the level of interest, particularly from investors that were coming in from all over the world to develop projects here in the state of New Jersey. So with that, my vision was I wanted to stay in that area, and there are many other opportunities in the energy business as a whole where we can present a very significant impact, not only practical solutions, but with very attractive financial returns on investments. So I find that when you can put those two things together, it's win-win for everybody involved.
Absolutely. So it sounds like you must do a lot of networking.
I do, yeah, I really do.
So what does that look like for you? Because everybody has a different approach.
Well, I'm very much a people person. So as you know, we met as fellow ambassadors at the Union League, and from time to time I'll get a comment like, wow, we really appreciate you coming here to do this. And for me, it's not a chore. I really, absolutely, 100% genuinely enjoy doing it. Mostly because you get to meet new people.
Right.
So you've been there, there's 40, 50, 100 new people coming in as prospective members to check out the club. And we're there as ambassadors to represent the club and kind of show it off and talk about how it works and the various components and those sorts of things. And I really enjoy that from the engagement standpoint of meeting new people, getting to learn about their story, who they are, where they come from, where their level of interest is. There's just so much diversity there that's very attractive to me. So that, I guess, characteristic of my personality, networking to me is easy. So depending on what group, what event, mostly interested in making new friends, and then from there, business opportunities frequently develop from that.
Well, I always love seeing you on the tour because you have so much energy and you're really good at presenting. Like, you have a good presence, and so I think that you're a real asset to the club. So when you're not working and you're not at the league, what do you do to spend your time?
Well, I really enjoy my family, so that's important to me. And hobby-wise, I'm an avid golfer, so that's a big deal, particularly when the weather's nice. So we're coming into the winter months now, so I'm probably going to be on a 2-hour flight south to Florida, where it's a little bit warmer and a little bit more pleasant to be out on the golf course.
How's your game?
Not as good as it used to be, but okay.
Yeah.
So at one point, I guess kind of an interesting story is on my 30th birthday. I've never played golf growing up. My 30th birthday, my godfather, by the way, my birthday's the end of November. So he says, come on, kid, we're going to go for a ride. So we go for a ride, and of course he takes me to his golf club, and he buys me a set of golf clubs. I'm like, oh, geez, I don't even play golf. very long story made short, at that point I feel obligated to at least give it a shot and try it, and it turned out I got to be pretty good at it. So I really enjoyed that, and then for quite a while, and then maybe 6 or so years ago, I developed some back issues where I couldn't play at all. So I'm challenged with, the pain, trying to figure out what I'm going to do with it, trying to avoid surgery and treat it alternatively. Eventually, fast forward, I wind up having surgery where I now have rods and pins in my back, but the pain is gone and I'm back playing golf. And my golf game is very different than what it was prior to. So I'm a lot more restricted in my mobility and things like that. So, but it's fun. The big thing for me in golf is, back to the camaraderie and the friendship, the people that you meet. It's really something I never really understood growing up, so I just didn't come from that environment. But once I got into it in my early 30s and started playing, got to meet people, I'm like, wow, this is awesome. You get to meet a lot of great people. So,
Yeah, I just started playing last year, and I'm playing, so to speak, but it's been fun. But what was it like to go through that surgery?
In the end, I just basically came to the conclusion that I had no other choice. It was either live in pain or get it done. So I went through a period of time, one, trying to first figure out what the problem was, because it was pretty excruciating pain that I'm in. So you have to go through all the testing and diagnosis and see various doctors and so forth. And so after we figured out what the problem was, my goal was to avoid surgery and treat it alternatively. And I have quite a few friends that are doctors, even surgeons. They're like, avoid surgery if you can, which makes sense. So I tried, and after a while, it was inevitable that I had to get the surgery done. So I was very fortunate to find one of the better surgeons in Philadelphia. He took care of it, and immediately the nerve pain that I had going in is completely gone. But again, one, I'm a little older, and two, now I have rods and pins in my back. So just, from a practical standpoint, it's not quite as easy to do some of the things that I used to do. Yeah.
So what types of things do you not do anymore so that you don't have to worry about it?
There's nothing that I don't do. Just how I do things differently. So I'm very careful if I have to lift something heavy. My exercise routine is very different now. It's more higher reps and less weight. And golf, getting back to golf, I have like half a backswing now. I don't hit the ball as far. I'm not as precise with my shots. I don't play as often. I can't practice because I only have so many swings in me on a given day. So all those things kind of just feed into adjustments that you have to make, and no regrets. I'm very happy to be back in action on the golf course and hanging out with my friends and doing that sort of thing. Yeah.
You seem like you have a very positive attitude, so I'm thinking that the surgery actually made you an even stronger person and gave you even a more positive outlook.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. We were talking earlier, and I think in general, my premise in life is the glass is always half full. So life is always going to throw you curveballs, and how you deal with them really, I think, has a lot to do with the outcome. So you had mentioned, challenges and things like that, and I don't really view it that way. I live in Center City, Philadelphia, so I see people every single day that have real challenges, that have a cardboard box for a home, and that to me is a more significant challenge than me not being able to hit the golf ball as far as I used to, right? So
Yes.
we've got to kind of put things in perspective, and I think keep a positive outlook on things, and really helps, make you who you are.
Yeah, I love that. And this show is really about inspiring other people. So when you think about, the viewers out there who are struggling with whatever challenge they might have, what would you say to them about how to get them into a more positive frame of mind?
Well, I've been around for a little while. I'm an older gentleman, we'll say that. Just recently celebrated a birthday, and some, I guess, things that I've learned in my journey through life is that, the perspective that you put yourself in situations really has a lot to do with the outcome. So if you get in a car accident or a loved one gets sick or dies, or it could be anything from a simple daily happenstance to something a lot more serious and impactful. But in the end, I think how you choose to deal with that, how you choose to perceive it and deal with it, really has a lot to do with the outcome of how things are going to go from there. And the other thing that I like to say in certain situations, and I don't mean to be too crass or rude about it, but sometimes you encounter people or situations in your life where everything kind of gets shifted to you. And one of my expressions is that if somebody's negative or burdensome or complicated, my view is that their problems are exactly that, their problems. Don't allow them to make them your problems. Your life is your life, and how you choose to deal with it really has a lot to do with how you take things in, how you perceive it, and how you react to it. And you have total control over how that happens. So it's really up to you to make that happen.
So it sounds like you surround yourself with people who have the same type of mindset.
Try to, yeah. But I travel various paths on any given day, so I like to kind of keep my eye on my ball and where I'm looking to go on any particular day, whether it be a social setting or a business setting. That's one of my core premises that I operate on every single day. Yeah.
Well, I love your energy.
Thank you. Thanks.
So, and I'd like to hear more. So you mentioned you live in the city.
I do, yeah.
Do you also work in the city?
For the most part, I do. So my business is I am in commercial and industrial real estate, and what I do on a consulting basis is I help owners of commercial and industrial properties understand how they can operate more efficiently, and that's from a practical standpoint and a financial standpoint. So we're in older facilities, so in Center City it could be a high-rise or a mid-rise. Out here in the suburbs it could be a manufacturing facility or an office campus or a medical facility. Anything that has high runtime, older facilities, older inefficient equipment. My skill set is I can come in and help people understand how to make some adjustments, bring the money to the project if capital's needed, and affect practical solutions with a pretty substantial financial return on investment. Yeah. So with that, I'm in the city probably 3 to 4 days a week. There's a lot of dirty old buildings in the city that need what I do. And then there's occasions where we come out into the suburbs. There's also, quite a bit of opportunity in the suburbs as well, whether it be in Pennsylvania or New Jersey. The companies that I represent, we have a national presence, so we can go anywhere, anywhere in the U.S., selectively international. But being born and raised in the Philadelphia area, that's kind of where opportunities start and develop from. And then as you develop relationships with clients and ongoing over the years, we wind up in Florida, Texas, California, Chicago, right, Ohio. Northeast is really good in terms of opportunity for us, mostly because of utility incentives that help buy down projects. And typically in the Northeast, you have high utility rates. So the changes that we make have a greater impact because they're already starting out by paying a lot to begin with. Yeah.
Very interesting, and I want to hear more, and I'm sure our viewers do too. But we're going to take a short commercial break, and we will be back with Tony Lepre. Stay tuned.
Your product, your design and feel, and your personality. Did you know that aside from being a guest, we offer even more opportunity to boost your brand? Adding your company logo and website on screen during your interview will allow viewers to recognize your brand instantly. Incorporating images and video clips is another great way to showcase your product during your live segment. Let viewers see how good you really are. And most importantly, there's you and your interview. For less than the cost of a newspaper, direct mail, or a magazine ad, you can leave our studio and within 48 hours have a permanent digital copy of your live segment to link to your social media, embed into your company website, or use in email marketing. Investing in your brand is so very important, and we can't wait to have you as a guest.
Shelter dogs aren't broken. They've simply experienced more life. If they were human, we would call them wise. They would be the ones with tales to tell and stories to write. The ones dealt a bad hand who responded with courage. Do not pity a shelter dog. Adopt one.
Say we've got grit, and we'll take it as a compliment. Because
Welcome back to Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn and my guest, Tony Lepre. Tony, before we went to commercial break, you were sharing about your business and the fact that you really have a presence a lot of places in the United States. So before you started doing this, what were you, when you were growing up, what did you want to be? And did you think that this is where you would be?
Oh, wow, that's a great question. Honestly, growing up, I never really had, I can't recall a specific vision to say I wanted to be a fireman or I wanted to be a lawyer, I wanted to be a doctor. I will tell you that going through school, I took a couple law classes, and I thought I wanted to be a lawyer. That was a little bit, later on in life as I was theoretically growing up. But honestly, I was not that adept academically. So for me to sit down and study and go through that process, round peg in a square hole, just wasn't for me. I'm a hands-on kind of guy, very much relationship oriented. So as I understood those traits that I have and where I was best suited, that's kind of what directed me in the path that I'm in now. So I grew up through a family business in construction. Sometimes I'll explain it. I started as a gopher and then a helper, and then I became a mechanic so I could actually do things on my own. And then I got into I started my own company, and that expanded. And then right in around 2008-ish, I stopped doing the construction aspect of what brought me to that point in life, and then I transitioned into the energy business, specifically solar at that time, and then since many other things that are encompassed in the energy platform, but strictly in commercial and industrial applications. So I guess it's just a matter of understanding, doing an inventory and understanding where your assets and skill sets are. So that's kind of what led me to the path of where I came from and where I'm at now. And honestly, I'm extremely happy. I'm very grateful. I love what I do. I have no regrets. I have no vision of retiring. I can't imagine what that would be like. I want to go, and keep on doing what I'm doing. And I enjoy the people that I meet along the way. And I enjoy the results that we're able to provide for our clients. They're very impactful, again, both practically and financially. So it's all good all the way around, and God willing, I will keep on keeping on for as long as I can.
That's wonderful. And it sounds like throughout your career, you've had an opportunity to understand all aspects of the business because you did all of these various jobs.
Yeah, that's a great point. That comes in handy a lot. So sometimes I find myself in a meeting with some very technically smart people. PhDs, MBAs, engineers, you name it, scientists, particularly in the business that I'm in and at the level that I'm there. Mm-hmm. So having that hands-on background is very valuable and brings a different perspective. And oftentimes I find my perspective and where I come from can be more effective to getting to the end result. So how do you get from point A to point B? For me, it's a straight line. So sometimes when you get too over-analytical, which can happen at times, that pathway can get a little misguided at times. Trying to dot I's and cross T's as opposed to just understand a more practical way of making things happen. Mm-hmm. So that's part of the value that I bring in projects that I get involved with.
I think this would be a great point for you to share your contact information. How can people reach you?
Well, my email is probably the best way. So it's Tony at Lepre Energy Group, just exactly how it sounds, and that's the best way to reach me.
Okay. Are you on any social media platforms?
I do, probably more active with LinkedIn out of all of the social media platforms. I do have Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, but where I'm most active is LinkedIn. So if you want to look me up on LinkedIn, I'm there as well, or shoot me an email. I'm happy to talk to you for any needs where I can be helpful.
Wonderful. Can you just share your email address again?
Sure. It's Tony, Tony, at Lepre Energy Group. LEPRENERGYGROUP.com. I tried to make it longer, but that's as best I could do.
That's terrific. So, Tony, as you know, we're at the end of the year, and it's the holiday season, and I sense you're a family guy.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, what do the holidays mean to you?
Grateful. I have a great family, and it's great to be around them. So my birthday, my mother's birthday, and my goddaughter's birthday. So we have a couple family members, 5 to be exact, that we have birthdays in and around the Thanksgiving holiday. So that's always fun to get together, not only to celebrate and be grateful for Thanksgiving, but we also celebrate our birthdays. And then that kind of leads us right into the Christmas season. We have a lot of fun with that. It's always been a tradition to go to my mother's Christmas Eve. That's where we celebrate into 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, Christmas Day, and then everybody kind of breaks up and goes their own way, and then we reconvene the next day and have more fun together as a family. And then New Year's happens to be a special day for me, in that it's going to be my 3rd wedding anniversary on New Year's Eve.
Oh, congratulations.
So, so my wife Patty and I, we've been together for about 6 years now. And when we decided we were going to get married, we started thinking about dates and venues and all the things that you need to think about when you're going to get married. And we wound up getting married on New Year's Eve 3 years ago. So this coming New Year's Eve will be our 3rd anniversary. So that creates another extension. So we're actually going from pre-Thanksgiving with birthday celebrations through Thanksgiving, Christmas, and now New Year's. So it's a special time.
It sounds like a wonderful time.
Yeah.
How did you meet your wife?
I met my wife in the city. So born and raised in Philadelphia, I moved to New Jersey for a few years. And one night I just happened to be at Tallulah's Garden down in Washington Square. I have a friend of mine lives in the St. James building there, and I was waiting to meet him for dinner, and in walked my wife, my now wife. So she basically walked up to where I was sitting at the bar waiting for my friend. She said, "Is that seat taken?" I said, "Not now." And then that started the conversation, and it just kind of went on from there. We started to date for probably about 3 years, and like I said, eventually we decided we were going to get married, and so.
That's wonderful. I love that story. She just walked right up to you.
She picked me up at Tallulah's.
How does it feel to be on the reverse end of it?
No, it was fine. It was. I can tell you, I was single for quite a few years, and that's an interesting lifestyle. Not necessarily for me, but that was the hand I was dealt for a number of years, and the fact of the matter is I just wasn't comfortable in that being single. I'm more a relationship person. I like to be settled down and in a relationship. So everything worked out just perfectly.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
So you shared with me as we were coming in here about your mom and what's going on with her. So when we think about challenges, I know you said you're a very positive person and you look at everything from that type of perspective. So do you want to share what's going on with your mom and what the holidays mean to her?
Oh yeah, do we have enough time? Well, first I would say I try to, as best I can in any given day and circumstance, to be positive about everything that comes my way, just because I understand how that affects the outcome. As it relates to my mom, her and I are very close. My father passed away in 1988, and I am the oldest of 4 children, and being the son, it kind of put me in a the man of the house kind of situation. My mom was pretty young at the time. She was in her mid-40s at that time. So when I look back on that and think about how old I am now and what she had to go through then and the transition and so forth, my siblings were in their mid to late teens. I was in my early 20s at the time, so a lot to take on. But again, you do what you got to do. You jump in and make things happen. So, fast forward, my mom has recently been challenged with COPD. And so we're just trying to make her comfortable as best we can. And it's tough because she's a very strong-willed individual, and trying to get her to back off and not do as much is challenging. So in her mind, not doing much of anything really is, from a practical standpoint, it's a lot for her to take on. So I feel like it's my obligation, and not in a needy way, but just by my core values and how I was brought up, I need to be there for her and help her in any way I can. So so you talk about that's a challenge, trying to get my mother to do something she doesn't want to do. Good luck with that. I have to be very creative at times.
Well, I guess you have your job cut out for you. So.
Yeah.
Well, I wish you all the best with your mom and celebrating all that there is to celebrate and be grateful for over the holidays and your wedding anniversary. It's tremendous.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, right?
Yes, wonderful. So awesome. That's the time that we have together for our program, and I really appreciate you being here. And that's a wrap for today with Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn. Join us on RVNtv Wednesdays at noon. And thank you to my guest, Tony Lepre.
Thank you. Appreciate it.